We are neither a political or religious website or page. When we discuss either topic, it is for historical purposes only, for a better understanding of the culture of the people that we are discussing during the period that they lived. While the community was growing with the industrial age, they were also taking care of their spiritual matters. It would seem that a revival held in Vincent Springs would affect the life of Dyer, Tennessee in a profound way. Come along with us as we dive into how a tent revival influenced Dyer, Tennessee to build a religious campsite in the turn of the century. All aboard the Kentucky-Tennessee Living Time Machine. Please fasten your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. But to get going, we need your help. We still need to fire up that time machine to transport us. Please help us by clicking on the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons down below. Not only does this fire up the time machine, but it convinces YouTube that we need a bigger time machine to reach more people who love history as much as you do. Now, back to our story. The short history of the tent revival. It is very hard to pin down when the first actual tent meeting was held, but credit is given by historians to James McGreedy in July 1800 at Gasper River in Logan County, Kentucky. However, there were some outdoor meetings that were held in communities around the 1780s and 1790s in both of the Carolinas and Georgia. Then there were meetings that were held in the Appalachian Mountains by circuit preachers that would make their rounds to rural communities once a month or so. What qualifies as a camp meeting? The Tennessee Encyclopedia defines a camp meeting in this manner. Quote, camp meetings were outdoor religious revival meetings popularized by the southern frontier during the early 19th century. These meetings generally lasted several days and attracted participants who traveled significant distances and camped on site for duration of the meeting, unquote. The website continues with this description. Quote, the outdoor setting, where participants camp for the duration of the meeting, usually 4 days, provided the most distinguishing characteristic of the camp meetings. Most services took place in the brush arbor, a cleared area surrounded by trees with overhanging limbs that formed a shelter. Fixed structures later replaced the brush arbors. Camp meetings normally occurred in late summer and provided a break from the hard work routines of farm life, unquote. As these became more and more popular around the United States at the turn of the century, there would be 4 great awakenings marked by tent revivals in the history of the United States. These were the first, which was 1730 to 1755, second, 1790 to 1840, third, 1855 to 1930, and fourth, 1960 to 1980. The time period we will be speaking about happened during the third revival period. The camp meeting at Vincent Springs. According to the Roots website, quote, Vincent Spring is a camp meeting ground that is located 2 miles west of Dyer, a half a mile north of Curry Road, directly behind the J. H. Woods house. The campsite sat on 4 to 5 acres of ground. Vincent Springs was organized about 1897 by H. C. Morrison, president of Wilmore College of Kentucky, and L. L. Pickett, a Bible teacher of the same college. During the first part of August of every year, a camp meeting would be held by a group of non-denominational and Methodist people. This was held under a big tent and organized with a choir seating, a mourner's bench, and a pulpit stand. In 1896, when Reverend and Mrs. R. H. Higgins of Hampton, Kentucky, held a holiness revival, the work of Vincent Springs began. After this tent meeting, a committee was formed to hold future meetings with evangelists to conduct future revivals for the community. The members of the committee were N. P. Vincent, President, T. I. Thompson, Secretary-Treasurer, G. F. Ramsey, Assistant Secretary, J. W. Overall, J. W. West, J. B. Thompson, W. R. Ball, and S. F. Sims. In 1887, a tent meeting was held in Holland Springs. Reverend Joseph Jamison of Franklin, Tennessee, and Sam Williams of New Bern conducted the tent meeting. In the following spring of 1898, the Vincent Springs property was purchased and a tabernacle was constructed for the purpose of holding camp meetings. The first revival was held in August of 1898. Dr. H. C. Morrison and A. A. Niles were conducting the services. For the next 30 years, tent and camp revivals would be conducted on the Vincent Springs site with highly educated and prominent evangelists. Over the years, there would be a campground built for those wishing to stay on the property during the 10-day revivals. There was a huge spring of water on the northeast corner of the property that provided water for everyone. During one of the meetings, there came a terrible storm that flooded the lower part of the campground. There were damages to the restaurant that was adjacent to the property, and one horse drowned that was hitched to a tree below the restaurant. The tabernacle burned down in 1932, and a smaller one was built in 1935 to continue the meetings. The tabernacle has now been moved and is used as a barn. Dyer Methodist Church. At the same time that the Vincent Springs revivals were being held, the Dyer Methodist Church would conduct meetings of its own under the directorship of evangelist W. H. Wild Bill Evans. During this time, the Methodist church rolls would expand by 100 new members. In 1907, the Methodists would experience another great revival. While Vincent Springs Camp would not last through time, it is interesting to see how our property was changed to give a community a place to come to once a year for revivals. Thank you. We at Kentucky Tennessee Living would like to thank you for watching our video series on the history of Dyer, Tennessee. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell notifications. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries of Tennessee history.